The sour cherry bloomed now too. Saskatoons aren't far behind. They're fluffing up really good. They're on either side of this cherry. So far, the plum's flowers haven't frozen off, but so far every year they have, so I'm not banking on that. Considering moving this eventually into the center of the asparagus, where there's an asparagus that there's like a 4 or 5 foot gap right there. This is seltzer water. That I think there's space. Black buzzard. Black vulture. So that it doesn't bloom out as early, but also it has what looks like bacterial canker rot to me, so it might not make it anyway. Haskaps are about done blooming. The tundra variety is about done blooming. The berry blue variety still has a couple little blooms on it. This is another Saskatoon I put in last year. This is an Aronia. It's not blooming yet. This one here. Pretty sure I'm gonna put this potted item in front of the shed, actually. That is John's Prairie gooseberry. Thorny, doesn't appear to be spreading though, so that's nice. At least it's not spreading. I'm sure it tip roots like they all do, but that's preventable if paying attention. Alright, here we have the beginning of, oh yeah, those are blooming. Red Lake Currant. This is a Yostaberry. It's not blooming yet, surprisingly. You would think it would. I had forgotten that I pinned down that branch, and now I have 2 Yostaberry. I'm also thinking about moving this apple in front of the shed. This rooting apple. That was a side shoot of the grafting root of my columnar apple over there. So it's really just grafting root for apples, for super dwarf apples. I'm already probably letting it get too big. Nothing on the asparagus yet. I also haven't seen any shoots from the groundnut yet. I know it survived though, because those were really healthy roots in the ground when I was planting the crocus along the back. Yeah, no asparagus yet. It's in a pretty deep shade, which is why I want to put the plum there, if I can, is because that would be better for super delaying the growth of the buds so that they don't freeze off every year, or are less likely to. I have a little tree growing right here. I'm willing to bet it's a cherry. I think I need to transplant it. The black cherries that I transplanted overwintered really well, that I potted rather. The black cap raspberries had a very much lower percentage of winter survival. The potted Saskatoons are doing great. This is supposed to be a pretty dry week, but the rain date is getting closer, not farther away, as far as how the forecast is changing. Got no blooms on my transplanted raspberry, but that's not surprising. It's a little early, but also those were exposed to deer browse and bunny browse all winter in the retainer wall, so they probably had anything that was going to turn into flowers immediately bitten right off. Seems to be what happens. The Miyoga ginger isn't up yet. That is later. Oh, the sea kale's doing really well. I put rocks around it because it doesn't like having things grow over it. Oh, looks like I'm actually going to get a couple tulips. The deer love, and maybe bunnies, I don't know, I can't tell, but I think it's deer, love to eat the tops off all of my tulips, so I almost never get any. I do think these dish plate type of daffodils are among my favorite, and the poet's daffodils are starting to bloom too. That one. Those are a couple of my favorites of the daffodils. I don't see any blooms on the apple yet. My apples are every other year, both of them. And from the looks of it, they're both the same year, which is nice for their pollination, but it's not great for, like, actually getting apples, you know. Quince is not old enough to bloom yet, from the best I can tell, so it's going to be a couple more years before I know how the fruit is on that. That's where the thornless raspberries came from. I'm not going to dig those out because I don't want to disturb the soil. It does look like I should probably water where I transplanted the clove currant, though. Over here, see how that's doing. Oof. Yeah, unlike the clove currant in the shade, these are not leafing out, so I'm a little worried about them. I'm gonna have to water that again maybe before I go if I can. I got some seeds for the section back here because this is such deep shade back here that it's kind of less, it's a lot less rooted. And so you can see that the landslide kind of started here where the, oh yeah, because this whole zone's pretty much getting killed by their compost. I think that's a contributing factor at the very least. This is a sedum. I have not seen its flowers yet, so I'm not sure what kind. It's from my friend. This is tarragon. The peonies are pretty freaking tall here. Working on a trench for the secondary overflow of the pond. The elderberries are leafing out. Oh, poet's daffodils are full open. This is hard to get through here with my hole dug right now. Let me be careful. There we go. Poet's daffodils. Let's look at those in a second so I don't get out of order. Skirret root. Autumn blaze sedum. Gotta get those planted out. This is stinging nettle. Up in a pot. Yay. Phew. Got some seedlings over here that needs transplanted. Some of them are older than just seedlings. There's that allspice that I can't remember the name of. It's yellow flowers. It's the far north allspice native. And then this is switchgrass. And that's like 20 different plants, and they are so interrooted at this point because I have put off transplanting them. I'll have to double back and look at the other exciting thing. Here's the poet's daffodils. When I was a kid, these were my favorite daffodils we had. We didn't have much selection compared to what I do now, of course. In my opinion, that's an of course, but when I was a kid, I don't even know if this many varieties of daffodils existed. I'm pretty sure the scented ones didn't yet. We're talking 80s, you know. I'm a 1981 kiddo. So, my plantings are becoming more... My daffodil types that have been planted are becoming more evident. Which I do want to get this zone cleared out. So I have a place I could set up a tent. But I also need to have places for the few things that I do want to keep cultivating. It's a short list, but it's some small native trees that I started and I don't want to give up on. So it's a short list of things that, they're slightly more difficult to raise. And one of them, besides the couple of cherries and those sweet allspice ones and that stuff, the other one just sprouted, and this summer's going to be my 42nd birthday. For my 40th birthday, I was given a hyperlocal native plum variety. And just this week, or last weekend rather, this past weekend, it sprouted. The seeds are finally coming up. Let me put my water down. That is the plum seed shell, which is part of my confirmation. There are violets in here and some other things, but look at them, they're so happy. So I'll give these a little more time, but I will be transplanting these obviously out of this pot. There's another one coming up right here. There's one right on the edge of the pot right there. There's one just starting to sprout in the shadows there. You probably can't see it because of the shadows, but it's got just its sprout coming out. There's one right here just getting started. Yeah, so there's going to be a bunch of plum trees in a pot right there. And I want to get them potted out individually and in a fence-protected zone prior to them getting root bound with each other. So that is a really exciting thing. I think I'll do a shorts about that one soon and talk a little more just about that. It's really delicious plums. I ate them and then I planted the seeds 2 years ago, just a year and a half ago. So it's a good year. Thank you so much for visiting the cliffside. Let's do a quail pass by, because then I gotta go to work. Quailios. Only Purple Earp wants to say hi. Can you see her? There she is. Spotchin' Gak's back to getting chased around. Every time he tries to get friendly with one of the ladies, he gets chased down by the other rooster. See, he's getting scruffy again. Wintertime, he gets a break from that. Thanks so much for visiting the cliffside. This has been Permaculture. Take care. Bye. Look at the bird, look at the bird.